Hey guys, Sean again, Custom Offsets TV on Shit I Never Knew. Today we're going to cover Stagger, Swagger. This isn't huge for the truck guys, although I do see more and more people doing, especially the race truck folks from the Instagram. When we get into staggered setups, and this is big on cars, especially like this RX-7, where you just want to hit the track and do awesome race car stuff, what they'll do is they'll have the rear wheel and tire be wider. I should probably set that so you can see it in the rear than in the front. So if you line these up, you can see that that rear tire is probably at least an inch, if not more, wider. And the thing is, the wheel itself is also wider. So this front is an 8.5 wide, and then it's a +30 offset. And the rear is 9.5 wide and a +22 offset. So not only is this one wider, it's also a touch more aggressive, because our goal on that car was to bring them all the way flush within a 1/2 or 1/4 inch of the fender. So we went with a more aggressive offset on the rear to bring it out as far as humanly possible. And on the front, at +30, we're already out as far as we can before you're going to start having problems when you're trying to crank the wheel. So what'll happen is, this one is an example. They're both 18s, but they're different widths, different offsets, and different tire size. You don't always have to get that carried away. What some people will do is they'll get, we'll just keep this one out, they'll get two wheels, both of them 8.5 wide, and they'll let this one be a +30 offset for up front, and then maybe they'll find that that wheel's also offered in a +15, and they'll put that on a street truck. So in the rear, it's still an 8.5 wide, but it's a +15. And remember, the smaller the plus number, the more it comes out. So what that'll do is leave your front where you can still turn, but in the rear, the offset will actually push it out and give you that flush look, because a lot of vehicles, the rear is sucked in more than the front when they set up the factory geometry. So this will push that rear out and give you that flush look. That's super popular in the Chevy S10 world, in the Silverado world, I've seen it a lot. Well, they'll use the same width, but then go with a different offset. Another example, and I'll show you that later on our Custom Offsets Lambo, on the Lamborghini, the wheel wells, let me find my magic markers here. So our Lamborghini looks kind of like this. And what they'll do is they will make this wheel well about yay big, and then on the rear on that car, and I really want a spoiler, so we're putting one on there, and then maybe that'll make it so that we can buy one. They'll make this wheel well a little bit larger. So on that car, you'll see what we did is we did a 20-inch on the front, and then on the rear we did a 21-inch. And what that does is it's creating a similar wheel gap on the front and rear, and it's making it look more symmetrical. So even though the wheel in the back is an inch larger diameter, it makes the car in general look better because your wheel gap gets eaten up, in our opinion anyways. So the offset example, where you have two of the same width but different offset, is popular in the truck world. You'll see some cars like BMWs, Mercedes, and some guys are doing the same thing, but then they run the same tire size on front and rear, and then they can rotate the side to side. So you could rotate the rears and the fronts, but you couldn't rotate front to back, because then your offset is moving to the front and you'll really look stupid. People make fun of you at the Walmart meet. So width is the other example. That was the one I showed you here, where a lot of times they'll run narrower in the front and wider in the back, and you could have the same offset or different offset. It's irrelevant because the width has changed. It's changing that setup. And then diameter is the example here, where maybe you run a 21 in the rear and a 20 up front. That would be your diameter. So what it comes down to then is you start picking out tires. Like I said, if you were to run all the same size wheels, you can run all the same size tires, you're good to go, you can rotate. When you start running something like this, if you look at this tire, this one actually belongs on the other side of the car. If you look at this tire, it's got a directional tread pattern. So when you look at the sidewall, it'll flat out tell you that it needs to rotate this way, which means this has to go on the front, left, or driver's side of the car, and it cannot be rotated. So there's nowhere for it to go. Same thing with this one. This one, you can see the arrow on here traveling this way also. That means this is the right rear. That's the only place that one can go. So there is no rotating a setup like this. You can't go side to side, you can't go front to back. These tires will sit in whatever position you put them in, and once they're gone, they're gone. And that's why I think it's super important to watch your alignment and just have it checked once in a while, especially if you're starting to see outside or inner tire wear. So you'll want to watch on the tire itself, and up front is where it's most common, unless if you've got something going on in the rear. You'll see it start to wear on this edge or start to wear on the inside edge, and then you need to get that alignment redone so that you can try to wear this tire evenly, or you're just not going to get the miles out of it because you cannot rotate. So that would be an example of the directional wheels or directional tires, but there's also directional wheels, and what that means is sometimes they'll come out with a spoke design that will run forward, so they'll tip the spoke design forward, and they'll literally have a passenger side and a driver's side, so that all of them, or tip backwards like on the Lambo, you'll literally have each wheel can only go in its exact spot. It can only go in the rear, it can only go in the front, and then the tip of the spoke determines left or right, and they'll actually be stamped on the back side a lot of times, drivers or passengers or right or left, and then you have to follow that directional. And then when you're mounting and balancing, you have to pay attention that you put the right tire on the right wheel on the right side so that everything's matched up, because every tire then and every wheel has an exact location it has to go on the car. So we covered the rotating, that's your directional wheel. One of the big things that I forget about all the time, and I have to remind people because I still fall for it. When you're going to pick out wheels and you know you're doing a staggered setup, it's important to figure out what sizes you need first and then start looking at wheels, because to find this wheel and be like, yeah, that's badass, that's the exact one I want, here's the 20x9, I'm good to go. And then you go to look and there's no such thing as a wider rear, but you're trying to get that staggered setup. You've wasted all that time because this wheel just isn't going to work for you. A lot of times what I'll do, because the rears are harder to find, pretty much the fronts are always made because they're the same ones when people run a square setup, the same size on all four corners. It's usually that front size. So I always look for a rear wheel first. If I know I want a 20 or an 18x9.5 between plus 20 and plus 30 offset, I'll go on the website and I'll look for the rear first. Once I find it, I save that, and then I go and find the front in the 18x9 that I'm looking for in the rough offset that I need. So that is how you put the two together, and then you end up with a complete set that you can actually run together. And remember, it has to be in your bolt pattern, so I also sort by bolt pattern right off the bat. This stuff can be super confusing, so let me make it more confusing. If you have an all-wheel drive car, the Cadillac CTS we used to have was an all-wheel drive, the Lambo is an all-wheel drive. What starts to happen there is, because the all-wheel drive system is smart and it's looking for slip, what it's doing is it's saying, hey, front tire, when you rotate 2 times, the back tire needs to keep up, otherwise you're slipping. Well, look at this. These two are 2 different sizes. So with this one being significantly smaller, this one's significantly larger, when you're going down the road, you cannot, I can't read that. When you go down the road, this one's going to be traveling more rotations than this one, and it's going to constantly be telling the car that this front end is slipping, and it's going to keep sending signals and clicking things off and on. It's basically going to wear your shit out, is what I'm trying to tell you. The rule is it can be 1% different. So if you have your front, or let's call your rear tire a 26-inch rear, that means you need to be plus or minus 1% in the inches. So what would that be? 0.26 inches. You need to be within like a 1/4 inch on the size of the tires. So if you need help with that, we have calculators out on the website. If you simply look up calculators on customoffsets.com, they're down on the bottom of the page. There's places where you can put in these 2 tire sizes. It'll literally tell you the width difference and the diameter. I'm sorry, I should be clear. This is diameter, or the height. Diameter. It has to be within 1% for all-wheel drive. Now on the Lambo, we got crazy and went 3% different because I flat out couldn't find the right size, and I am willing to take that risk. I looked at the stock sizes, and on that car, the stock sizes were off by 1.5%, so I believe that the car is set up for more tolerance for that smaller front. So I'm comfortable going a little bigger on the rear as far as the height and getting that little bit different ratio. It doesn't work that well, but we do have on the website where you can go out there and you can choose staggered setup when you start to look for your wheels and tires. All it's gonna do is it's gonna say, since you picked this wheel, we're gonna show you in an 18, then we'll show you this same make and model wheel in 18s. So that then you can go and try to find the rear match. The trouble is we're running into too many people that say, well, I'm gonna run a machined one. I don't know, they're running different colors, so they're running chrome in the front and black in the back. They're running 18s in the front, 20s in the back. So we tried to make a tool that would be smart, but what it was doing is it wasn't allowing people to do what they wanted. So now we've backed it off, but it still helps. It's a staggered button underneath any wheel that you find, and then it'll have you find your front wheels, and then find your rear wheels, and it'll help match you up and keep the bolt pattern consistent so that you don't buy one of each in different bolt patterns and have yourself a damn mess. So that should be it. Shit I never knew. If you're gonna go get yourself a fancy ass car, especially if it has all-wheel drive, this is super important, and ask for help. sales@customoffsets.com. Our team can help put together a staggered setup. This was one, for example, we didn't have any RX-7s from 1993 on the website, so I literally went and searched the forums to help this customer out and was able to find a close setup already on a vehicle with some pictures in one of the forums. And I sent it to him and he said, yep, that's perfect. So then I used their calculators on the site to figure out roughly what that guy was running for sizes, and I was able to then start working with a couple of the guys here to find a wheel that's roughly that size, because you can be off by a few millimeters on offset and you can change the width, but as long as you're using these calculators, you'll know that you still have the clearance and fitment. I would not recommend, if this is the first time you've ever heard about this shit, that you go on the website and buy yourself a staggered setup with no help, because you'll screw it up, I promise you will. So that's shit I never knew. Stagger Swagger. Peace!